Reezy Talks episode number 96. Today's show is with my good friend Christopher Grant, and we are going to be talking, of course, about Amazon, FBA, making money, selling online, but primarily, mostly probably going to be talking about online arbitrage, tactical arbitrage, systemizing, purchasing of goods online, all of that stuff. What is up, Chris?
What's going on, man? I appreciate you having me.
Dude, I'm happy to have you. How are you?
I'm doing great, doing awesome. How about yourself? How's California this time of year?
Oh, it's excellent. It's been on a heat wave recently, so it was actually like 92 or 97 the other day, and people were freaking out. It's like drop everything and run to the beach kind of thing.
Absolutely.
But today was like, 76, 77, 70 the other day, so
Oh, that's nice.
it's pretty nice, I mean, the reality is though, we got to talk rent costs and labor costs and all of that stuff if we want to, pick your poison, I guess, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
so real quick, first off, I say everyone's my great friend, but the truth is I do not know you too well. We've interacted on Facebook primarily,
Hmm.
few live streams, and we've done some business together. And so we're more like acquaintances. And I just honestly want to get to know you. Like, who is Christopher Grant? Where did you come from? How did you get into selling online? And like, what are you doing now? Where like, let's just hear the whole story, man. Give me
All
the
right.
10-minute story.
All right, you got it, man. So, I have been fairly entrepreneurial my whole life, and I'm sure that most people say that, especially as entrepreneurs as adults. But uh, as a kid, I sold pizza to my classmates, and then as I got older, I owned a portion of an insurance agency, and I sold insurance for 12 years. And then I wanted to figure out, like, I wanted to get out of an office. I was tired of it. So I went looking for ways to make money online, and I started with, don't hate me, but I started with drop shipping. And I was drop shipping on eBay, so I wasn't breaking any Amazon rules or anything.
Right.
And the margins were just so razor thin. Even
So real quick, I don't want to detract too much from the storyline, but I think it's kind of important for someone who's listening that was like, why would you hate him? Because he was talking about drop shipping. I just found out about drop shipping, and it sounds like it's the best fucking thing ever.
it sounds awesome. Like when I got into it, I was like, this is great. I won't have to own anything. I can just send it from Walmart. But if you're gonna sell on Amazon, please don't do that. Like you're gonna get yourself in trouble eventually.
So
Uh,
you're primarily selling on Amazon.
no, no, no. Back then, I was just selling on. I was only drop shipping on eBay.
Okay.
I knew even back then. I knew don't drop ship on Amazon because I read
But
those
what
terms of
happened? It was
service.
more work than you expected. It was less money than you expected. Why didn't it work? Why aren't you the drop shipping master?
Oh, the margins were just, they're thin. You're selling a $90 product and you're making $3 to $5 because your prices need to stay along with everybody. And then back then you had to fulfill your own orders. There was no software to do it for you.
There was no Oberlo.
Exactly.
Right.
So I was staying up till 3 in the morning fulfilling orders and trying to figure all that stuff out. And it was great during Christmas time when prices were really high.
Right.
But the rest of the year you got to sell a shitload, and it just wasn't for me. And then I found FBA and Amazon. And I was like, oh, well, I can do the same
When you
thing
when you
sort
say
of.
you found it, how did you find it? Was it like you were watching Alex Becker drop shipping YouTube videos, and then someone Steve Rakin's Amazon FBA video came up or something? How did you find it?
I was just trolling Facebook, and I was joining all these. I joined these drop shipping groups, and then a couple people started talking about Amazon, and then of course I just stumbled across the OG Chris Green, and
Shout out Chris Green,
that's
OG.
right. I bought his book, and then it just made a lot more sense than dealing with drop shipping on eBay.
Right.
So I started digging in, figuring it all out.
And so at the time you were still working a 9 to 5.
Hmm. Yeah, I was still slinging insurance.
And so you were just researching other ways to make money on the side. And so you tried drop shipping, didn't work out so good, found Chris Green, read his book. What did you do next?
The next thing I started thrifting. Of course, I mean that's where it's like where everybody starts. I started with books. I was doing some electronics. Um, I was selling a lot of adult diapers from like the Salvation Army and stuff. Um, and it was all going into Amazon, and I didn't have to keep it in my house. And like I did as a teenager, I was flipping cell phones on eBay. And I had to keep track of all that stuff. So it was all going to Amazon. It just clicked. It made sense, and I figured out how to read a keep chart and pick winners based on that. Uh, and that kind of just became what I got good at for a while.
So then you did you go full time reselling for retail arbitrage or for thrifting, or were you still at what
When
point? I guess I don't even know if you still work a 9 to 5. Do you work
No,
a 9 to 5? All
no,
right, full
no,
time.
yeah, full
And
time.
so, but let's continue the story of how you got there, right?
Yeah.
So you're doing thrifting in retail arbitrage.
Hmm.
You're still working your 9 to 5.
Yep.
At what point did you get so you could quit your job, or even just to realize, hey, maybe I'll be able to quit my job?
So it was, I mean, I knew as soon as I figured out like retail arbitrage, like, I don't know, maybe 6 months, I was like, okay, I could do this every Saturday for 12 hours a day, and I can make half of what I'm making at my 9 to 5, which was all commission. So it was, I mean, I didn't have a ceiling or anything. Um,
Right.
and then I was about 6 months, I was like, you know what? I said, I'm just going to jump. And so I planned it out that in, I think it was 2014, because my son had just been born. He wasn't, I think he was just walking when I quit. But January 2014, I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna go do this full time. And I was lucky. I had 6 months of commissions backed up so that I could kind of live. Uh,
Okay.
and I just made the jump and just did it. Uh, and I went in doing retail arbitrage and online arbitrage just all the way until it paid all the bills, and I didn't have to worry about that commission that I had saved up and coming in from renewals and things like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
And does your wife still work?
No.
All right. And so you're able to support your whole family off of reselling, and I mean you do other stuff too, right?
Yeah, I do other things. I've built some softwares. I've done some courses, stuff like that. I got all kinds of things out there,
But you're
but
still actively selling.
yeah, yeah, still actively sell, and we make.
Can you share any numbers on that? Because everyone likes to hear that.
Oh yeah, I am admittedly not the biggest seller because my focus is so fragmented. But this year
Yeah,
we're
kind of
probably
like
going to do,
me.
yeah, this year we're probably going to do about 500,000, and we don't. I mean, I don't touch any product. Um, so
So are
it's
you're doing 100% prep facilities then?
as of now, yes. Up until about a week ago, my wife handled all of the prep and ship. She was the boss when it came to that, and we just outsourced that because in Q4 we're going to go out and do some RA. You
Right.
have to.
It only makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So what was the final needle in the coffin for finally switching over to 100% prep facility?
We had done it before, and I started doing a cost analysis, and I'm using a tax-free prep center, and the cost is about the same as long as I spend enough money, and as long as I get enough units to the prep center because they give you a discount based on volume, and so the cost is pretty close to the same, but we don't have to have
When you
50.
say close to the same, are you meaning including the labor that you would be paying your wife, or you mean including like the similar as the purchase price with tax?
Oh,
Meaning
similar
you,
to the purchase price with tax.
okay, meaning you're getting free prep.
Pretty much. It's
Meaning
really
basically your
close.
your wife was wasting her time.
Exactly. She's
She's
she
super
can
mad at you. I mean,
No,
she's happy that she's not doing it anymore, but
she likes
like
it.
we
That's
could
the
have been
thing.
doing this the whole time.
Right?
Oh, she likes it.
She loves it. It's like playing adult Tetris for her. She absolutely loves
Oh
it.
yeah, yeah, I
Uh,
can see that.
but I told her she could go spend money on product instead, and she was like, "Okay, that's cool. Let's do
What
that."
prep facility are you using?
Central Montana Prep and Pack, I believe is the name of it.
Awesome, cool. I don't know if they have any availability, but if you guys need it, maybe go check it out. Maybe Chris has a link I can put down there later. But yeah, that's something that I want to look into because my business model is changing a lot. I went from, now, like you said, my focus is so fragmented. I don't have a lot of time. So I can't run around and, scan books anymore. And so I need something that's more, I can't even, not only can I not run around and do like daily stuff so much, I can't manage employees daily that are doing daily stuff. Like I don't have that time, And so
Yeah,
I'm like, well, okay, we're going to go into bulk books because it has more moving parts, but it's more systemizable and the deployment is more steady. It's not like I'm ready for the job. What do we do? Okay, well, you go to different stores. You know what I mean? That's always a weird conversation with people, right?
exactly.
But, at the same time, it has me looking at, other business models within Amazon that I'm like, okay, well, maybe we should just really focus on OA or wholesale or RA. And it's just, what's the output, what's the input, what's the moving parts. And the online arbitrage, as well as wholesale, seems so interesting to me because of the prep facility, because of the no tax delivery thing. It just seems like a no-brainer. Obviously, I feel like it's a more upfront cost, like for example, if you wanted to, I don't know, pull out $10,000 a month profit out of your business, and that's what you want out of your business, and you want to do, online arbitrage, you're going to need a decent amount of cash to start, and it's going to take you a while to get there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, even if you start with $10,000, I don't think you're going to be pulling $10,000 a month out, anytime soon. Not in the first 6 months, maybe not even in the first year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this tangent, but I do think it's important to look at the different business models. How many pieces and parts do they have? What do you want out of your business? What's the potential outcome? How much time do you have?
Mhm.
Because a lot of people are like, oh, we're making so much money, but they're also working a shitload. Like you said, 12-hour, 10-hour, like a 10-hour day is a light day for them. They feel like they did
Exactly.
nothing, right? And they're doing 12, 16-hour days. Sure, they're making like $500 a day, like to their own bank account, but they're working 12 and 16-hour days nonstop. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And when you factor in the cost of everything, like I'm looking at my operation here in California, and I'm like, well, I'm going to pay, 3,000 for a warehouse. Someone else, you might pay only 1,000. I have to pay. I don't know. Where do you live, Chris?
I live in Orlando now.
Okay, I don't know what the realty is like out there, but also minimum wage in California is $15.
Mhm.
So what if it's $10 somewhere else? So you got to really look at like what sales tax in California, or at least where I live, is like 8.5%.
Okay. Yeah,
That's
that's
serious.
a
Depending
lot
on,
of money.
yeah, if your average purchase cost is $100, or even if it's only $50, you're looking at $4.25 sales tax on an item on a $50 buy. And if the prep center is only charging you $2 to process it, you're actually saving
Exactly.
$2.25 by sending it to a prep. It's just, you got to know what you got to work with. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people, you might live in the Midwest and be like, well, I don't know, I can't do books like Reezy. I'm like, well, maybe you should do something else. You got cheap labor and you got cheap warehouse space. You know what I mean? So,
Exactly. Yeah, it really there are so many moving parts and so many things to do, And if you live in the Midwest, you could do books. It'd probably be better to do bulk books out there, but uh, yeah, you gotta
yeah.
really look at all those pieces.
Yeah, it just depends. Like, what do you got where you live at? What's your benefit that you have? You might not have a bunch of liberal people that read a lot with a high literacy population, a bunch of colleges, but you have 15 Walmarts in a 10 square mile area. And I have no Walmarts in a 20-mile square area. I have to drive 25 or 35 minutes to get to a Walmart,
That's
over a
so
half
crazy.
hour drive.
I can throw a rock and hit a Walmart in every direction.
Isn't that insane? And so
That's so nuts.
for me, like I'm super jealous of people that can do that because I know if you have Brickseek Premium and you have all the time in the day, and maybe you don't have family, so you can go at any time at 2 a.m. You know what I mean? You can make a living just brick seeking a bunch of Walmarts, especially if you have good capital and you can get the higher end stuff like the electronics. Like, oh, these are $900 laptops that you're getting for $400, and you're going to flip them and make 150 on each one, and they're going to sell like in one day on eBay, and you get a cart full of them. You know what I mean? So it's like, I can't do that, guys. So if you have Walmarts, please look into BrickSeek Premium or whatever the super top tier BrickSeek is. Look into it because you got opportunities out there. And even Tactical Arbitrage can help you out with doing RA with stuff like that. I was never a master of that, but what is the Tactical Arbitrage? Like, what is it? It's a not in stock search, right? For web. That's what you do. That will tell you what to look for in RA specifically.
Yeah. You could look for items like let's talk about
like really hot items, but they're not in stock online, which means, keep your eyes out for these.
Yeah, you could do searches for things that are not in stock online, and then go find them on BrickSeek. Heck, if you mess around enough with Target or watch enough videos on YouTube, there are videos out there that will show you how to actually do like a Target search in Tactical Arbitrage for your local Target, because Target has local links to all the Target and what's in stock and everything.
Oh wow! So it's like a link appended with your zip or whatever, with your store number or whatever.
Yeah. There's tons of different ways to find good product, both online and in stores. So, and like we make buy lists for places like Walgreens and other places that people don't even think about going and flipping stuff from.
Right. Walgreens is killer. I mean, it's like the silent killer, right? So it's not like you're going to find the most quality stuff, and you're not going to find a ton of crap there, but you'll find the random, like toys or electronics that are like really good flippers. And then you'll find the weird off-end branded stuff, which has good brand IP, but it's like, it's shoddy products. So you kind of have to weigh, you know what I mean? You're like, it's the Mickey Mouse sprinkler set, like made for Walgreens. And you're like, I don't know, it's going to fall apart as soon as they open it. You know what I mean? So
absolutely,
it's a give or take, but also, what do I usually find at Walgreens? Vitamins and supplements, that kind of stuff, clearance hair dye. What else? What is it? They'll have some random action figures too, or random Funko Pops. You're just like, it's always like a bodega at Walgreens. They always have just like, you're like, why is this even here? There's
one summer we were doing a competition in a little mastermind that I'm in, and I won. It was like we all threw in $20 to win. The winner got $100, and I actually won by flipping like 144 Walgreens Funko exclusive pops.
Wow.
Yeah, in like 30 days. It was awesome.
Wow, that's awesome. The last really good Walgreens flip I had was these USB wall chargers. You might remember them. It's like a pretty off brand. This was like 2 years ago, and it was like a thing that goes in the wall. It flips out, travel USB charger. They were clearanced out for 99 cents, and there were like 5 USB ports, or seven, I think. But they were high wattage, like 10 watt or 15. They charge fast. You know what I mean? And then they were like $2, but then we were selling them on eBay for like $20 a pop.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we went to several different Walgreens. So that's one store we actually do have. I think we have like four or five Walgreens in the county. So, but it's not, we have 2 Targets. One is like a regional Target. I can't explain it. It's not like, it's not for a big city. It's like everything, the sections are all smaller. You know what I mean? There's a lot of like diapers and sunblock because I live in a tourist town. You know what I mean?
Right.
So let's just cut the chase real quick, and let's go into, since it is Q4, let's talk Q4 tips and strategies that are really helpful for people. And I'll throw one out there that I was doing, and that is use the curbside pickup when you find stuff in store. And so it's like a 2-part tip. For the one part, merchant fulfill stuff in fourth quarter. That way you can beat everyone else to market, because the depth of our communication network of resellers is so thick that bolos are played out in like 2 days max. I promise you, anything good is played out in like, not played out, but like on its way out in a couple days, unless, everyone holds out or like whatever. Anyways, merchant fulfill stuff so you can capture the price right now, right? Before the price tanks. And then on top of that, the curbside pickup, because when you buy something curbside pickup, it's like a hold. It's like a reserve for an item, and you're not charged until you pick it up. So if you merchant fulfill it and someone buys it, then you go pick it up curbside, grab it, and then you get charged for it. Then you ship it. It's like a zero risk thing, right? So not going to go into that too detailed, but if you know what I'm putting down, you should be picking it up.
Yeah. I knew a guy who used to kind of bet on what he thought was going to be hot in Q4, and he would go in now, and or whenever they start layaway at Walmart, he would go in as soon as layaway started, and he would go put like $10,000 of stuff on layaway.
Ooh.
And if it went hot, then he would go in and he'd be like, okay, listen, I want to buy all of these, and he'd buy them and he'd sell them. And if it wasn't hot, he'd just be like, all right, well, I actually don't want these items, and take them off of layaway. It was genius. I'm not sure that I would do it, but it was a really
I mean, you have to weigh your options here. I like the curbside pickup because it's like faceless. You don't really have to show your face to the manager that puts it back on the shelf or whatever. You know what I mean? And they might not associate your face with your name or so, but as a general move, unless you absolutely have to, do not take stuff back to the store or do like what Christopher just said. There's no rules against it, but it's just like common decency, and it's the worst way to build a relationship with store managers. Like ideally, you want to get to this position where your store managers at the stores you frequent like you and appreciate you, and maybe even text you when the new stuff's going to get put on clearance. And they're like, hey, Chris, we got a pallet of Legos we're putting on clearance tomorrow. You come scan them right now, and they appreciate you because you clear out the space for them, and you make their dailies look really good.
Exactly.
And they know that when they call you and tell you, you're going to come through and do your thing and be professional. So I wouldn't want to burn those bridges. But if you have to, if it's, your last $1,000 to your name, you got to do what you got to do. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Q4 tips. So
yeah. So obviously another one is, and I made a video about this, and if I remember, I'll put the link up over there or whatever, but get your merchant fulfilled listings listed and sold before October 14th, I believe it is. By October 14th at midnight, you have to have shipped at least 25 merchant fulfilled items. So whatever you have, I don't care if you're going to lose $1 if you sell it, list it. Everything that you can sell that will sell quickly, meaning it has a great rank, even if you're losing a little bit, maybe something to think about when you're outsourcing in the next couple of days. If you could get 25 whatevers off the shelf at Walgreens and everyone lost you $1, but the rank is like 200 and whatever, and it's going to sell all in one day, I would buy them all, send them all in, and basically you just pay $25 to make sure you're able to do merchant fulfilled toys and games in fourth quarter. Because if you can't, then a lot of this merchant fulfilled stuff we're talking about is not going to work in fourth quarter, and it's not necessary to succeed, but there will be definite profit opportunities missed if you can't merchant fulfill. You will cry yourself to sleep.
I had to miss it last year. I was in the middle of moving and I didn't hit the 25 merchant fulfilled. And so I probably left there's probably 10 grand on the table that I could have had that I just didn't.
Yep.
So yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, same. So last year I blew it as well. And or maybe it wasn't, no, it was last year. And I had Hatchimals, and there was it was such a burn. It was like as soon as they went active, and I had 25 of them. As soon as they went active, the price was tanking, and it was on its way to Christmas, and I was like, fuck this, I'm not hanging around. So I just sold them all for a $5 loss each.
Yeah.
Just to get my money back. So that's $125 loss total. When if I could have merchant fulfilled them when I was in the store, they were $100. They were probably a little over 100, and I think they were 59. So I was making 15, whatever it was. I was making 15, 17, $18 a unit, and the rank was ridiculous in toys. But because I couldn't merchant fulfill, A week later, it was completely washed out. The offers went from like 20 to 1,000. You know, I mean, you
Oh
spend
yeah,
you got to capture it when it's good, especially on something like that when it's a repeat, and everyone's like getting on it faster than they did the year before. Dude, year one, did you catch Hatchimals on year one? The first
I
Hatchimals?
I was never able to get ungated in them.
So I was ungated in them. I am. I'm good. But the first year, the first Christmas they came out, I'm in the store. I'm in Toys R Us. R.I.P. Joffrey. There's an infinity amount of Hatchimals, and as many as you can see up, as many as you can see all directions. And I'm like, what is this stupid ass toy? And I pick it up and I scan it, and the rank is terrible. The rank is just terrible, and I'm not thinking like fourth dimensionally, Marty. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I don't know. You can't really gauge this shit. All I know is like, what are you going to do? Pretend like get a job moonlighting as a Santa Claus in the mall so you can find out what kids want for Christmas? I don't know how you're going to figure it out. But I just remember going, nah, this thing's stupid. No one's going to buy this shit. Put it on the shelf. In less than 2 weeks for sure, like 1 week to 10 days later, I'm back in Toys R Us on a Thursday picking up deal stuff, 15% off day. And they're gone. The shelves are bare, empty, and I can hear people asking for, you guys got Hatchimals? You guys got Hatchimals? And I'm like, wait, what? What? You know how when you're doing RA and you're in the store and you
Oh
hear
yeah.
kids going, Mama, I want the JoJo Siwa, like whatever. You know what I mean? That's how you know. That's how you gauge the market, is if the kids are crying about the brands in the toys, those are the hot sellers. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I go and look it up, and I'm like, oh my God. Like it was like you were saying, it was like $5,000 of profit that all I had to do was get all those. That it was before no one cared about them. There was no one. Like a week later, it was like, no, one per person, but a week before I could have took a whole truckload of them. But you just, like you're saying, it's sometimes that prediction is super important. And also, Watch Me Amazon was telling me the same thing with wholesale and big wholesalers. They will buy up, early in the year, January, February, March, they will buy everything of a certain line of toys. They'll buy everything. So there's no more left for anybody.
Oh,
and then come Christmas, they have the only stock. But it's like a huge gamble because you have to invest an ungodly amount of capital early in the year, like, early Q2, and you're holding it out for Q4. And I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I think in our business, the best strategy, like more important than understanding and being good at making money and finding good deals, is managing your capital preservation and getting the fuck out of a shitty product when you know it's a shitty product.
Exactly. Yeah. People, so that's one thing I tell people all the time is they're like, well, the price tanked. And I'm like, well, okay, so sell it at a loss and get some of your money back, because that money is now wasted and you're not going to have any of it. I'd rather have a 5 spot than nothing. And I think sometimes as Amazon sellers, we can get a little bit emotional over what we thought we made a really great decision. It turns out not to be such a good decision. And rather than get some of our money back, we just sit on it and then we start paying fees, and like we have to stop doing that as a group of people. You got to know when to fold.
Yeah, no, it's very important. It's like, and no one talks about this. I need to make like 100 YouTube videos about know when to fold them. No one talks about it. It's like this silly euphemism, know when to fold them, know when to hold them.
Yeah.
There's a million videos talking about how to make money on Amazon, but there's not a lot talking about how to keep your money on Amazon. And I know some private label sellers talk about this a lot, just it's talked about probably the most in private label, because that's the key to private label, is to find a winning product and don't get crushed when you lose. Just recognize it's a loss as fast as possible so you can exit out of the product, even at the smallest loss possible, but with the tenement of as quickly as possible so you can swing the bat again and reinvest, as much of that budget as possible to the next try, because you might have to try 10 things, before you find the good one. And man, and even, a lot of people don't even realize it. It's like there's just so many different situations where you have to get out in, like, in the stock market. It's common knowledge, when you buy a stock, you already know, especially if you're a trader, if it doesn't do this, you know when and where you're going to get out. You're like, I think it's going to do this. This is why we're getting in. But if it doesn't, but you can tell quickly, we're going to get the fuck out. But people will buy some shit and then it will go live on FBA and they'll be like, the price went down. I'll just hold it and just wait, and these are people that don't even have very large budgets.
Oh
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Not to mention, even if you have a large budget, it's a bad idea because the main problem with almost all Amazon business models, I would say, except for like books and thrifting, is capital.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to keep your capital going again and again and again, right? Like,
Yeah.
I wish someone would have told me that from the beginning. Like, hey, you're, managing your losses is more important, than what managing your wins or, finding more win. I guess you don't really have to manage a win, but, managing your losses is more important than celebrating your wins. Something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. Yeah. People. Yeah. SJW says it right. You need to have an exit strategy. You got to know when you're going to exit. Uh, absolutely.
Yeah. Exit strategy, guys. Understand it. And also, something that a lot of people don't think about is that, especially, I guess it doesn't come into play unless you have a large quantity of an item, but you can sell an individual product at a loss while still profiting overall on a buy. So what do I mean by that? I mean, if I buy 100 bottles of vitamin C to sell and I sell 50 of them or whatever, and I make great money on those 50 bottles. I make, I don't know, $10 each bottle. So I made $500 profit. Then Christopher gets on the listing and starts selling them, and the three other guys do, and now we're in a pricing war. And so I just decide, you know what, this product, there's too many people on here, I'm getting out. So I drop the price to a point where you're looking at it and going, how can Reezy sell him for this low? I know what he paid for him. He's losing money. Yes, I'm losing money, but I'm getting out. And
Mhm.
overall, I'm not losing money because I already made $500 on the front end. So like we're building into that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely. That people really need to. I
That's
think
like a
we.
that's a thing where, sorry to interrupt, but I just want
That's
to
right.
add one more thing. That's like that's the power of buying in volume. When you have
Mhm.
only 5 or 10 units, you can't really do this. But when you have 100 or when you have 1,000, you know what I mean? With sometimes you get comfortable, you could buy 1,000. You know what I mean? Stuff like this really comes into play.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The whole. That's such a great point because I think the other thing Amazon sellers do is we focus too much on the profit of just one single SKU when we really should be worried about the profitability of our entire business. And then of course, having that capital to turn over. I'd rather just get my capital back, even at a small loss, so that I can go make another better buy. And and if we want to talk about mindset when it comes to that, like for some people, especially new people, like that will destroy you. You swung, you missed, and you're done. Amazon sucks. You got to remember, like, batters, great batters, like historically great batters, bat like 30%. And
Right.
as long as you are getting back to the plate, that's really what matters. Don't give up on the first swing and a miss.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think that's true across almost anything that's worth doing. Look at my YouTube channel, for example. I have 500 plus videos, and it's taken me almost 4 years now, three and something, 3.5, whatever. But less than 10% or barely just 10% of my videos are over 10,000 views. So I have
Isn't
one
that
that's like
crazy?
700, 800, going to get 1 million. I have a few 500, a handful of a 250,000 view videos, but 90% of the videos on my channel have less than 10,000 views. Do you know
That's
what I
crazy.
mean? And so it's just all about showing up and coming to bat, because the more times you can be at bat, the more times you're in the game, the more likely you're going to succeed. And if capital is your restriction, in the business of buying and selling, we need to get out so that you can get back to the plate, because it costs money. There's an ante involved in reselling.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So let's go over this question real quick from EasyBiz. Says, question for a newer seller looking to do OA. Would you recommend investing in a lead list or a sourcing software like Tactical Arbitrage?
My honest answer is it depends. if if you have capital, but you don't have time. You're working 9 to 5 or 9 to 7 or whatever, and you've got kids at home, and you just don't think that you'll be able to make 2 hours a day to first learn tactical arbitrage and how to read a keep a chart and all of the things that go into making an actual buy, then a lead list is a great way to get a feel for what people who are good at this think is a good buy, good enough, especially to share with 20, 30, or 50 or 100 other people. Um, and you can make money on lead lists. I subscribe to a ton of lead lists, and there's a couple of reasons. One, I get emails all the time. Hey, can you tell me who I should buy a lead list from? And I want to be able to give them an actual, like, here's who I think is good.
Sure.
But two, because my business is a lifestyle business. I enjoy teaching and creating things more than necessarily sourcing 12 hours a day. So I let other people do some of the work for me. And but if you have no time, but you have capital, absolutely try a lead list. If you have less capital, but more time, and you can get through the learning curve of tactical arbitrage and are willing to do what it takes to do the work, because it is still work, even though it's software, it's still work. If you're willing to do that, then tactical arbitrage would be the way to go.
Yeah, I pretty much agree on all fronts. And to put it into perspective, I I'm also like Chris on a bunch of different OA lists. Shout out Marco Camaro, Marco's Bolos. But and I wanted to add the one caveat that there are way more terrible Bolo lists than there are good ones. There is people out there just selling you the slop, like disrespectful. Nobody that I associate with, but just be wary of lists out there because there is some honesty that comes with making a list, and you need to know that the person that's selling it to you is trustworthy and they're not selling it to, you know, another group of 30 people. It's exclusive to this group and they have 5 different groups, or it's going to too many people, or they're only putting, you know, stuff that's not doesn't have velocity, or stuff that's, you know, only like 20% ROI or whatever. Always talk to someone who's used the service before and ask them, you know, what their honest opinion is, something that's unbiased. But there is good ones out there, but pay special attention that the person is one skilled, and of course everything pans out like the deals that they're putting. But I'd say more importantly that you know they're a legit person that actually cares about you and has a reputation online that they're not trying to damage by selling poor products, because there could be, you know, there's definitely terrible Bolo lists. The time factor is huge. For example, I had a period where one of my brother who was working for me at the time, he needed some more work and he didn't have anything to do. And I was like, okay, you're going to do OA buying. I was quickly able to teach him how to evaluate OA deals. And within a few days, he was, you know, purchasing for 2 to 4 hours a day. Whereas there's no way I could teach him how to use tactical arbitrage in a few days to where he could be, you know, making reliable list. It might be a week or 2 weeks of me spending like 4 hours going back and forth with him. Like, look, this isn't a good product. This list isn't, you know what I mean? It's a lot of stuff. So there is huge time savings involved in lists. Just make sure you're getting a good one. And to put that into perspective, any list worth its salt, I believe, should have at least, if it's a monthly list, there should be at least one product that was on that list across the month that paid for the whole subscription, you know, hand over fist, you know. So any list that's good pays for itself hand over fist. So I'd say that's probably, wouldn't you say that's probably like the main criteria for a good list? You're like,
Yeah,
yeah, at least
the
you,
ones that I continue to pay for, because I mean I pay for a lot of them, and I then cancel a lot of them after the first month. Um, but the ones that I continue to pay for, that I mean they make money. That's the thing.
yep. Yeah, I have. So again, shout out Marco Camara, and I'm on a few of his lists. But last, he does a quarterly thing. So the last one he did, third quarter, there was a nerf, and I made a video about it. It might have been even second quarter. I made a video about that too, if I remember. I'll put the link up there. Put the let me know in the chat so I can remember. But it's just a Nerf gun from Target, but there was some really good deals. It was cash back. There was like buy one, get one half off, and like blah, blah, blah. But it was like $100 and something Nerf gun. And when it came down to it, I was getting them for like $34 a piece or something like that, or even less. And so I sold, 100 plus Nerf guns in like, one day. As soon as they went active, they sold in like an instant. It might have been a few hundred, but anyways, just sold instantly. And it was like, $22 profit each unit from Target. And I remember they showed up and I didn't do, I was like, oh, we'll let Amazon label them, case packed. And they showed up, there was 3 units in each box, giant Nerf guns, so literally that UPS, a whole truck of UPS packages in my driveway, giant packages, labeled them all. Or just put the Amazon labels on the boxes and then loaded them right back into the same day pickup for another UPS truck.
Nice.
But that was one item off of one list, and I made, several $1,000s off of that. And that was just one day of a list, that cost me, I don't even know, less than $100 a month for sure, but fully worth it. So
yeah,
check your people out.
Good price for a list. Fat Elvis is wonder what a good price for a list is. It's honestly going to depend. The ones that I think are the best tend to be a little bit more expensive, like 149 to 189. But I mean, there are other ones too. I mean, I know that I don't know all of them.
So I think in the world of bolos, you get what you paid for, right? So the people that are doing really good work and not buying it all for themselves, they're probably making lists with less members and charging more and have better stuff on it. So just be aware of that. And I know one thing I want to address is people are like, some people genuinely think that bolo lists are completely a scam. And why would anyone put anything on a list that they could go and buy? And the reason is because no one has infinite capital. And I mean, I might let's say I find a list with like 10 things on them and like, I don't know, 5 of them are like insanely good, but I could literally exhaust all of my capital in item number 1. And that's the one that I want to do. But everyone, 2 through 5 is still amazing. And some people might even still like 5 or 7, And so I sell, 5 through 7 on a list, and that's
Exactly.
2 through 4, and they're all still good. But, there's a million products you can buy. Like no one has enough money to buy all the products.
Yeah, there is not. I mean, there's just not. I've got what I think is a fair amount of capital for the size seller I am, and I can't buy everything. It's just impossible.
So, let's talk about some tips for tactical arbitrage. And we're not going to do any screen sharing just because that doesn't come across well later on the audio, and we're not planned for that right now anyways. But let's talk about little tips for tactical arbitrage that most people don't know about. Like, for example, these are like simple stuff, but I would say one thing I tell people is like when you go into tactical arbitrage and you just figure out how it works and now you know how to search stores and you're like, which store should I search? I would say don't start at A, start at Z because everyone starts at A. And then I would say skip the stores that you recognize. So if it's a brand that it's big enough that you recognize, skip the store, skip that thing. There is so many stores on tactical arbitrage and they're all reputable. I mean, I'm sure 1 or 2 could sneak through here, but it would get nipped in the butt right away, probably in less than a month. But don't be afraid to look at stores that you've never heard of because guess what? Everyone else is afraid. Everyone's going right. Everyone's going straight to Walmart.com, to Target.com, to Walgreens. Less people are going to Sierra Trading Post, but that's even still higher up on the list. Like that's something I recognize, go to some shit you don't like the craziest, like just name some website that like you bought something from that is like nothing you ever heard of.
Who's heard of Zorro? Zorro.com.
No, not me.
No.
Never heard of it.
Zoro.com. I had a great replen there for, I don't know, 3 or 4 months. It was hazmat. It was awesome. And then someone must have gotten a wholesale account where they could just buy it way cheaper than me.
I'm telling you, man, the gold is there's definite gold on like you'll get good gold on Target and Walmart, but it's harder to get because so many people are going after it. But I've had some crazy winners from LTD commodities, you know what I mean? Or it's like the weirdest thing. Like I sold hundreds of and this product might still be good because I stopped selling it so long ago. It might have popped back up again because I'm not good at managing that stuff. I just got out, but it was a organizer, a bedside organizer for your remote controls and your notepad and pens and shit. It's like a fake leather thing that goes between your top mattress and your box springs and hangs down on your bed
I've
to
seen
hold your
those.
remote control.
I've seen that from.
And we were getting them for like $7.50 and selling them for like $22. And they're really light. They fit in like a poly mailer or whatever. Anyways, but it was just, whatever website I was getting it off of was like, I legit felt like it was a scam,
Yeah.
and then I was ordering, 20 of them a month, again and again and again for 6 months. So I think that's very important. But what other kind of stuff like that is like, it's not super techy, but it's like tips.
Yeah. As we're going into Q4 and like Reezy said, everyone is zigging and you want to zag. Don't just go after toys. Like toys is low hanging fruit. They're great. I love selling them. Like we sold like, I don't know, we sold like 92 Nerf guns in like 2 days, last Q4. I love selling toys, but remember the other things that are out there. The rising tide of Q4 lifts all ships, and things like grocery are going to go nuts. Home goods are going to go nuts because
Yeah,
people are having
hope you guys
family
are getting
over.
your Halloween candy, stocked up in dock
Make
already.
bank
And
on Halloween candy
yeah,
and
and just
decorations.
real quick pro tip on that stuff. The good Halloween candy that you're going to make a lot of money on is the stuff that came out this season. That maybe right now when you're looking at it, the rank is not good. It's not
Mhm.
good, but it's going to get good. What did I see at the store that was really cool the other day? There is Disney has a new series of ring pop type things. Let me know if you guys saw these. So they're basically, it's a ring pop competitor, but it's made by Disney, and they're branding the ring pops. So they have a Disney princess one where the ring pops looks like, this is Princess Belle's ring, this is Cinderella's ring, this is, do you know what I mean? And then they have
Yeah.
like a Toy Story one where the ring is the heads of characters. So it's like Forky or Woody or Buzz or whatever.
that's
Anyways,
cool.
I scanned it and the rank was like 350,000 in grocery or whatever, but I know it's going to go. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know it, but I mean, when you're in these stores enough, when you see a cool product, you kind of, you get a feeling. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's cool.
Absolutely. We just sent in a product that's ranked like 600,000 in grocery, which if you look at the last 3 months, it hasn't sold. But if you look back to last year, it's going to start flying off the shelves in 3 weeks. It's going to start really pumping. Uh, and that's the kind of stuff you can really start looking at now, especially if you have some capital that you can kind of delay the payout on.
Yeah. And like you were saying, uh, zig when everyone else is zagging. Or is it zag when everyone else is zigging? I don't know, but
I don't
just
know.
go the opposite direction. And so not inside of toys, but fourth quarter opportunities. Grocery is huge, and I would say the focus would be Halloween candy and Halloween themed or fall themed flavored stuff like
Mhm.
pumpkin spice cake mix or pumpkin spice syrup, pumpkin anything. You know what I
Anything
mean?
basic.
There's seasonal pumpkin stuff like Trader Joe's has an amazing seasonal pumpkin spread that I've sold really well for, but it only comes out, it's seasonal. It's
There's
literally
pump-
like peanut butter, but it's pumpkin spread.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Oh,
There's
it's so
pumpkin
good.
spam this year.
Pumpkin spam.
There's pumpkin spam this year.
I'd try to flip all of it. Pumpkin
Yep.
flavored frosting, pumpkin flavored Oreos, but just be aware you need to lead the pack. Like you ideally should be getting into these products when the ranking is not good yet. Because
hmm
if you wait till it's good, by the time you and everyone else's mom gets it in, the price is going to tank. So what else? Thanksgiving and Christmas related stuff. So like festive holiday dinner stuff. So like place settings, or last year I sold a ton. For some reason I got an alert on LTD commodities. There was it was like a huge piece set of like leftover set. Is literally like foil trays of different sizes with metal inserts to slide on the top of them. and they had fall or holiday patterns. And I bought Thanksgiving ones and autumn ones and Christmas themed ones. And that just meant that the print on the cardboard slide was different. They were literally just something you buy when you're going to have a big dinner so you can send people home with leftovers. You know what I mean? And they were on clearance, and it was something stupid. It was like I was $2 a pack I was paying, and we were selling for like 14, and they weighed nothing because they were aluminum. And, you know, we had several hundred of them, but it didn't look so good when I was buying them. But I had to have the foresight to go, it kind of looks good, but I'm getting other buying signals. You know what I mean? And I feel like
Exactly.
that's in the reselling world. That's when you really make the good money, is when on paper it might kind of look good. You know what I mean? But then you have to you're just like, well, but you know, there's no FBA offers. And you're like, okay, I'm in this one, you know, like that's a real skill as a reseller, is to understand when it's not obviously good and like why or why not, you know, could it possibly become really good, and to be able to get in front of everybody else on a product.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, it's not just, hey, I'm a little early, but also remember, like, it may be priced too high. Maybe someone's trying to sell a box of cereal for $75 because it's pumpkin flavored Cheerios or whatever.
Count Chocula pumpkin.
Yeah, remember, you gotta be somewhat reasonable. And I'm all about making a profit, but if it's not going to sell, you're not going to profit. So don't be afraid to bring that price down to something realistic to make sure it's going to sell as well.
Right. And don't be afraid to get creative. Do you know what I mean? And I mean, I don't want to say I'm giving away a bolo, but it's like the most obvious bolo on the planet is the monster cereals for Halloween, right? They only put them out during fourth quarter, and they're always worth money, but it always comes in different flavors. Like, and I don't mean different, I mean the deal opportunity. I don't mean the different cereals, but it's like, you know, you might have been able to make a profit on a single box of Count Chocula. But for me, for the last couple of years, it's like, oh, 4-packs, you know, a variety 4-pack. Or one year it was like, no, just Count Chocula 4-packs or 3-packs, or make your own multi-pack. You know what I mean? Don't like scan the Count Chocula and be like, dang it, Count Chocula is not profitable. Look to see if there's a 2-pack or a 3-pack or a 4-pack or a 6 or an 8-pack. People love Count Chocula. Like,
yeah.
It sells every single year. They've been bringing it out since your parents were kids. Like, it's going to keep selling, you know? And so just understanding what those opportunities are, but not being, I don't know, I guess having a higher innate sense of like what's a deal and what's profitable, rather than just relying on what your scanner says. You know what I mean? Like, no, you know what I mean? Like, you just have to know that you can make money somehow. It's just not there. It's not right there in what you're seeing, but you're like, I know this. Hold on a second. Let me figure it out. Let me put some legwork into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you gotta figure that stuff out sometimes.
Do you have any examples that you've been through on situations like that, where maybe you made your own listing or you made a multi-pack, or any type of scenarios you can think of like that?
I'll be completely honest. I am such a lazy seller that if it does not already exist on Amazon, now I will go digging for it. I will go find the item that doesn't have a UPC code and it's got some weird title, but I don't create my own listings at all. So it's
Okay.
got to be there already. I'll fix a listing and I'll throw some PPC at it and get it to sell when it's not selling, but I just don't create them.
Yeah, I get it. Some people aren't into it. It takes time. I
It
have
is.
talked to some people that have VAs for making listings.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, okay, here's the information, you know, here's the manufacturer website, here's the picture, here's someone else's eBay listing or whatever, you know, here's the details you need. Create an Amazon listing, get back to me, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's
Have you
tons of ways.
have you ever tried making one on your phone?
Make it. I mean, I've tested it out. Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's crazy how good the app's camera is.
Yeah, so you can make a listing on your phone, and it's kind of a pain in the ass, but I feel like it's actually one of the quickest ways to make a listing, not to finalize it, but just to make it, throw a picture on there, title, whatever, and then go into your manage inventory and edit it properly from a real computer and
Hmm.
like fix it, rather than, I don't know, it's just a tricky process. But Little pro tip to add on there, guys: when you find products that you think might sell well, especially because you get it for a good price, and you can't find a listing on Amazon, put in a little bit of work. Maybe go to eBay and see if it's selling on eBay, because if you can't find a listing on Amazon but it's selling well on eBay, you might have a hot item on your hands. You might also have to create a listing. So if it's only one item and you're only going to make $10, it might not be worth it to you. But if it's an $80 profit, or if there's 100 of them on the shelf and it's $15 profit each, maybe then it's worth your time to look into creating a listing.
Yeah.
Let's see here. We got a question here from Sherry Pickett. She says, so if I have something new, Cherry Pickett. Sorry, I don't know why I said Sherry. Could be a dude. Sorry. Question. So if I have something now, pumpkin peeps, should I wait to send them in or send them now? And if I send them now, how do I price them? You want to take this one?
Yeah, I got it. So, pumpkin peeps, they are marshmallows, and marshmallows melt at 105 degrees Fahrenheit. So,
I
you
love that you
cannot
just know that.
you cannot send them in until October 1st, which is when meltables goes in. I think I always forget the degree of meltables, but I think it's like 115 or 120 degrees. It's got to be able to withstand.
Yeah, be careful, FBA meltable sellers, because if it gets received one day before that, it's not going to be received as active, and I don't even think you can fix it in any possible way.
It's
They
tough.
It's probably would be like a manual fix phone call situation,
Yeah.
something like higher up escalation, but you do want to try and get it there as close as possible to the meltable deadline. You could also might as well put it as merchant fulfilled between now until you're going to ship it off.
Yeah.
Just make
Some
sure you
people
have
are going to want them.
Yeah, make sure you got your shipping settings right. And depending on what the size is of the item, I know something like Peeps, it might be perfect. Just throw it in a bubble mailer, let them pay for build your shipping into your price, maybe add a priority option for $6. Boom, throw it in a bubble mailer.
Yeah. As for pricing, I would price them at whatever the market looks like it's handling right now, whatever the listing, is at. If they're selling for 20, I'd price it at 20. But I'd also be cognizant of what the price did last year. So look at
Yep.
your Keepa graph, see what happened. That way you can know how many to buy and where the price may come down to, because eventually every single store in the country is going to have pumpkin peeps, and that means a ton of resellers are going to be sending them in October the 1st.
Yep.
And the price will come down just because that's the way the market works.
Yeah, anything you can get at Walmart or Target is at any category is a super low hanging fruit, especially in the grocery and the toy category. And I would say in the electronics category as well. Any of those categories that everyone likes to sell in, and you can get it at Target or you can get it at Walmart. My advice to you is to sell it now. Sell it as fast as possible, unless for some reason your spider sense is telling you, you should hold out onto the item. But you can't control the market, but you can control when you sell your item by pricing it at the market price. And I guess that's only true if you buy stuff that has good velocity. So that's kind of another tip in itself, is when you're buying items, especially in larger quantities, you want to make sure the velocity is there, not just because you want to be able to sell it, but you want to know you can get out of it. You know what I mean? This is like my business partner does stocks, but there's some stocks, I think they would say it's like a low cap or whatever, but it's like you're trying to sell your shares, but you can't sell them because no one's buying them. And all of a sudden you have to lower your price and lower it below the actual current price, because you're trying to make it very enticing for people to buy. And you don't want to have to use your price, lower your price to try and stimulate the market on your products that you're trying to get out on. You want it to already have volume and just know that, hey, if I price it at what the market is, I'll get out. But that's an important thing I think all sellers should understand, is that you can't control the market, but you can control when you sell your item, provided the volume's there. You can sell at the market price. And since you can't, you know what I mean? You know what the price is now. Anything else is just a fantasy, and you don't know what's going to actually happen. So it's kind of like when it goes bad, it's like one bird in the hand versus two in the bush. You're like, right now I could lose 20%, but I could sell it right now. I could wait in 6 months and see if the price is going to come up. But what if you wait 6 months and the price is even lower than it is now and you didn't manage it? You're going to feel like a dumbass.
Exactly. That's something people really got to realize. You don't know when some lady's going to make a funny Chewbacca mask video and the price is going to just skyrocket on something, and you can't count on that. So sell
Yeah,
it when you sell it.
it's chasing trends is great, but it's not something you can rely on. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's
You
bonus money.
Yeah, exactly. Bonus money. You never know when it's going to happen. You never know when Monopoly for millennials is going to pop off, and you're going to be able to sell a few hundred of them in a few days. Merchant fulfilled or whatever. But that's a great example for products that went insane and then went upside down in a matter of 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, it was
Less
fast.
than 2 weeks,
It
seven
was the
days, 10
it
days. I
was the
feel like you could have.
fastest I've ever seen.
I honestly I just had a new idea right now is that um and it'd have to be like a private paid service because you wouldn't want to like expose the bolos, but how interesting would it be to follow them like a stock, like a news? You know what I mean? Like
Oh
if you
yeah,
could have like a little ticker and it'd be like me on my news thing and I'd be like, the Tickle Me Elmos are now at blah 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 averaging, you know what I mean, volume is showing at this, like as if it's the stock market where like
oh yeah,
Monopoly for millennials trending at 147. Like,
right. Yeah, it
and
would.
it's literally, people don't understand it, but these products are like Monopoly for millennials, for example. Yes, that was a quick 7 days, but people were hopping on planes, going to other counties, paying people in different counties, TaskRabbit to like pick them all up. Like, so people are playing the game at different levels. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So if you wonder why you can't find any, there might be, someone flew to your city and then got it before you because you were sleeping.
I know people that have done that. I mean, it happens more than you think.
Oh yeah, people are on Brickseek looking up stuff, and I cleared out my area. What's this area? They got their mom and their brother to clear out their area, but they're looking at it and they're like, man, over there in Minnesota, I see 32 stores that have, you know what I mean? No one in Minnesota does Amazon FBA. I mean, shout out. I'm just kidding, but I'm just generalizing. And then boom, you go out there, you fly out there, and obviously flights paid for, but you make $10,000 in 2 days.
Hmm.
Like buying light bulbs from Walmarts and shipping them to FBA from Brickseek.
Exactly. Illinois Picker's got a really good question, I think. How often do you reprice Amazon inventory to stay within 5% of the buy box, even if it keeps dropping? Do you stick to your guns? So here's what I do. I take the emotion out of selling and I stick to my repricer. My repricer has my rules in it. I don't change my rules because that's what they are, and I don't want to. I'm not going to get caught up in the, well, I spent hours creating this profit and I'm going to lose it now. So my repricer does it, and then if I haven't sold it in 90 days, it goes on clearance, and that's it. I
And
have
what is
three rules.
clearance? What is clearance for you? Mean?
So at 90 days, I have like clearance number one, and that means that we can drop the price down to a break even.
Okay.
And then if I'm another 30 days past that, so I'm at 120 days, I'll go down to like 50% loss,
Right.
and I just want it gone.
I think that is probably more important than any tip you could give someone about how to buy something is managing your losses. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Is to get out and get your capital. And I think it's because it's a budget intensive business, and especially if you want to pay yourself, you have to mind your budget. You know what I mean? And the only way you can mind your budget and continue to pay yourself and make money is if you have these rules in place to be able to get, because you're going to make bad buys.
It happens.
You're going to make bad buys, and you're going to make buys that were good that are now bad.
Yep.
So, and you're also going to make good buys. So there you go. 2/3 of your buys you might have to get out of.
Yeah, I was talking to my wife tonight. I was like, you know what? I need to take this SKU and this SKU and this SKU, and they need to go to clearance because they they suck now. They were great when I bought them. They suck now, and they need to go.
Right. And yeah, I just wish I would have known that before I tried to go. I mean, I obviously known that, but it didn't like beat it into my head. I learned my lesson in the last 6 months to a year from all the money that I spent buying shoes, retail arbitrage, and it didn't work out for me. And there was several reasons, buying criteria we should have tightened up on,
Mhm.
repricing we should have been more aggressive on. But most importantly, when we estimated the business model, we didn't we estimated a 90-day sell-through rate, and because we weren't as aggressive on pricing and blah blah blah, it didn't happen. And when you're buying, your average buy cost is $50 for a pair of shoes. It's easy to eat up all of your profit very quickly. You could go from 50,000 in the bank to like not even being able to make paychecks, and then you're like, oh crap, well now we have to sell all these shoes. And if you want to sell them all right now and you didn't buy stuff that has amazing velocity, guess what you got to do? You got to take a loss, right?
That's right.
Super super duper important. Let's see here. Shout out JC Files over in Manchester. Christopher Cruz says, Reezy, do you still only sleep 5 hours? So lately, no. Lately, I've been sleeping 7 to 8 hours, and it feels amazing. But I've been actually going to bed earlier. So, and I've been also on a kick trying to make the evenings for family. It's hard for me because I'm a stay-at-home dad, homeschool. My wife's a full-time student. So when she comes home from work or from school, I really want to be like, great, now I can, Reezy Resells and run my Amazon business and do all that stuff that I haven't been able to do. But at the same time, I got to give my wife attention and family time and stuff. So I need to sleep less, but I don't think that I can get back to 5 hours anytime soon. But I want to get to waking up at 6 a.m. So that would be, like 7 hours of sleep, maybe 12 to 6. I don't know. What about you, Chris? What are you at?
So I used to be of the mindset where I was like, you know what, I'm 4 to 5 hours and I'm done. But it is not good for you guys. I would really suggest that you don't do it. My
I
sleep
think
tracker.
before or interrupt you real quick, but I think I don't want to say it's good, it's not good for you, or it's not. I think that people go through different phases. And when I
True.
was sleeping for 5 hours a night, I was going through a phase, and it was like my YouTube had just started to take off, and I was super pumped. And that's when my asthma first went away. And so I was like super duper high on life. And I don't know if that wore off a little bit or whatever, but I don't know. I probably weigh 10 or 15 pounds different than I did in that time period too. So like people change, and just know, what you're going through. But I do agree with you that overall, if you were to like adopt it long term, 5 hours of sleep a night is not good.
Yeah. So my goal is 7. I am typically around 6. I go to bed normally around midnight, and I'm up at 6 a.m.
Nice. Yeah. So the one thing that I have started to notice, though, is that I think I'm going to be like that old guy at McDonald's getting coffee in the morning, because waking up at 8 a.m. already feels like what I used to think sleeping in till noon or 10 a.m.
Right.
felt like. And my daughter wakes up at like 9:30. So 7 is killer for me. But if I could get to 6 a.m., I could do like 2 hours of productivity plus like working out and meditating in the morning before my kid even woke up, which is big goal for me.
That's exactly why I get up at 6. I mean, I'm not working out as much as I should, but having a little bit of quiet time to meditate and do some reading is important.
Right here, Big Mike says taking L's is a big part of the game, which is definitely true. That's where, and I don't mean taking losses, I mean taking lessons, because you learn. When you take a loss, it's a lesson and you learn, but you got to take L's. Because literally people ask me, they're like, Reezy, how did you learn Amazon? And I've been selling on Amazon for about 15 years, maybe a little over. There was no YouTube. There was no smartphone. There was no Chris Green. No one was talking about, and there might have been a physical book. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think there was anything. How did I learn? I made every mistake possible. I saw someone in real life doing it, and I would ask them and pester them until finally someone told me something, and then I didn't even know what Amazon was, you know what I mean? And I made every single mistake. I sold over 10,000 units my first year, Chris, as an individual seller.
Oh, wow.
Because I didn't know that you could save $1 a unit if you were a pro merchant. Because it was the first year you could FBA anything. So anything I would find stuff that wasn't profitable but had great rank, there were no FBA offers. It was year one. So you could send it in, name your own price within reason, and anything would sell. So I sold 10,000 units my first year, and I could have saved 10,000 if I would have known.
Good old days of the Wild West Amazon, man. I wish I would have gotten in back then. It would have been a lot of fun.
Dude, if I would have been, I wish I would have been more back then. It was long before Reezy Resells, and I was really close knit about all my information and everything. And I wish I would have been more open because I would have learned more sooner and faster. I would have met other sellers because as soon as I started sharing information, of course, I created a lot of competition for myself, especially in books. But I also learned about selling in other categories. I literally
Mhm.
didn't know you could sell other than books and I don't even know how I could think like this. I had sold books, CDs, DVDs, and the random board game. It was like in my head, it was only the shit that I happened to scan that I was like, well, you could sell. I had never thought of retail arbitrage or taking shit brand new from the store. Certainly not about selling shoes, for 50, buy them for 50, sell them for 100, make $25, like,
Mhm.
but through opening up online, I learned more. Then I learned what private label was. And it was like, it was not way too late, but this was 3.5 years ago. And all in my head, I'm like, wow, I could have done anything on Amazon.
Oh yeah.
In the beginning, when I first started, I could have private labeled a goddamn garlic press.
Oh
Killed
sure.
it.
I
Killed it. I would have been Mr. Garlic Press.
Right? Yeah, my first private label product was years before, everybody and their sister wanted a private label, and I mean, it was easy to sell. It sold through everything, and it sucked.
Man, dude, the good old days. I was talking to Bill Martlink. He's the only person I know that's been selling on Amazon more than I have, from sellbackyourbooks.com. And he was one of the first 20 FBA sellers.
Oh wow,
So I think all the first FBA sellers were booksellers, and Amazon flew them out to the warehouse, to see the test pilot program that was to be FBA.
that's
So
crazy.
insane fun talking with the dude. Illinois Picker got a question, and we'll do a couple more questions, and I'll let Chris go. I don't want to take up too much of his time, but speaking of shoes, I need a concrete answer. Have opportunity to flip new shoes without the top of the box for great profits. Very inspired by your video. So don't sell them on Amazon. That's my professional opinion. Amazon actually allows you to sell new shoes with a replacement box. So like a white label box off a Uline or, whatever. Don't put it in like a different shoes box. But I just don't recommend it because I think even though it says you can do it, Amazon says you can do it, I don't think any customer would be happy to get their brand new shoes in a white label box. That's unless they're like sandals or Crocs or something that maybe the box is just not as important. But if it's like anything over $50, I don't think the customer would be happy. And if the customer's not happy, you're going to get a return. You're still going to get charged, what is it, $7 return for shoes on Amazon. And, that's just what it is, even though you're still not breaking the rules or whatever. So I would not recommend it. eBay, Poshmark, those are probably going to be your best bet is eBay or Poshmark. I'm not educated enough to know if you can sell shoes without the box on Goat or StockX, but definitely Poshmark or eBay. I think Poshmark is going to be the better deal for you because less people are selling shoes on Poshmark, especially men's shoes. But yeah, just don't. Like, the name of the game with Amazon is, one, follow all the rules. We're playing in Jeff's sandbox, but two, keep your customer happy. And that two is almost and probably more important than one, as long as you like, I guess rule number one is don't get kicked off of Amazon. And rule number two is keep your customers happy. And you might be able to bend the individual rules in Amazon a little bit either way. In this case, the other way that you wouldn't think, but you got to keep your customers happy. You know what I mean? I might bend a rule on something. I know I'm breaking the rule. It's slightly gray hat, but I know the customer will be happy and all will be well. And that's the most important thing.
Yep, absolutely.
Let's see. Ryan says, if I'm ungated to sell an item but restricted to sell it new, can I buy it new and list used and get the best review ever? You could do it if the profit's still there. If you can sell it, but you can't sell it new, buy it new, sell it as, used like new or whatever. Just don't put the word new anywhere in your description or you'll get dinged. But yeah, you would definitely get a really good feedback. I actually get a lot with our CDs because we clean all of our CDs and then replace the cases, and then polybag them, all the music CDs before we sell them. And we sell them as like new. We're very good. And the customers are like, they sent me a new one. Oh my God, but it's not new, but same kind of thing. You'll just be over delivering. But if the profit's there, I say, what the hell? The
Make sure.
main thing about that is usually is like warranty and stuff. So like you can't sell it as new because you're not an authorized Belkin dealer, and when they buy it from you, they can't get their warranty.
Yeah.
So
And hit that request to sell button under new. You might be surprised when you get, auto ungated on something like that.
Yeah, no, always request approval when you're unable to sell. You might as well, you're right there. You just discovered it, unless you got a giant list of things you need to try approval for. I mean, you could sit for weeks and request approval for brands, so you might as well do it when it comes across to you organically in the wild. Um, Here's the TA question. Ira says, can you search all stores for specific products on TA versus searching a store for random products?
Yeah, absolutely. That's called reverse search in tactical arbitrage. And what you do is, let's say that you just want to look up Nikes. So you go grab ASINs from Amazon of all the Nikes, and you run those through reverse search. And then tactical arbitrage will look through all of the supported sites for Nike products. And then it will match them up with pictures and UPCs if they're available. And if they fit your filters, they'll show up for you to hopefully flip them.
Awesome. But can you do that like by ASIN? Could you do a single ASIN
Yeah,
reverse search?
you could do a single ASIN. I don't suggest it, but you can.
Yeah, because
Uh,
literally the same amount of time is going to get
yeah,
you much more results, right? You would do
yeah.
what's your favorite reverse search?
I just what I'll do is I'll go in and I will just grab like a shitload of ASINs. So you can so okay, so I can do 10 searches at once because I have an old TA account. If you got a TA account today, you could do 7 searches at once. So I would literally go in and get 250,000 ASINs from a category or multiple categories and just throw them in there
And
and let
where
it
would you
work.
get these from, by using like Storefront Stalker?
Yeah, I'd use Storefront Stalker to grab those, and like I like selling health and beauty products, so I'd go in and I'll look at all the health and beauty products that are ranked like 25,000 to 50,000 over the last 180 days, and grab all of those, or do a keyword search if you
And then
really
do
like selling.
another reverse search for top 25,000 in another category. And so
Yeah,
have 10 of them working with a total cumulative of 1 million products being reverse searched.
exactly.
And if, like, real quick, guys, if you don't know what a reverse search is, it means that you're saying, for example, show me everything in the 1,000 grocery category. And instead of searching Walmart for stuff, go and find through the whole entire catalog of every store that's listed in Tactical Arbitrage. Show me every store that has any of these items in the top 1,000 that also meet my profit requirements. And so it's probably the most powerful thing. I mean, TA is so powerful, but I would say search wise, the reverse search is probably like the bread and butter.
Yeah, I do love a good reverse search.
And also, we mentioned Storefront Stalker. I believe, is that a Nate McAllister product?
That is Nate
And Nate,
McAllister's product. Yep.
shout out Nate McAllister, Entre Resource. But what it does is it allows you to go to, like, say, you know how you can snoop your friend, not your friends, but your frenemy's store and see what products they're selling. And they're like, oh, you're like, man, he's selling the Trader Joe's shit. So you go to Trader Joe's and you get it too. And now you're selling it. But when they're selling some stuff and it's not Trader Joe's brand, you wonder, where did they get it? So you can right click with Storefront Stalker and you can literally pull all the ASINs out of just a page or out of someone's entire storefront, put that into a spreadsheet, and then run that in Tactical Arbitrage. And so essentially reverse search. So if, for example, you find Christopher's store and he has a lot of OA products, that's a gold mine, because now you reverse search his store and boom. And you better believe it. It's like when you find his store, you bookmark it, because you're going to reverse search it. Then you're going to get a bunch of products and you're going to sell good on those for a while. Then they're all going to die. 6 months are going to go by. He's going to have new products. You're going to go back. You're going to do it again. And everybody's doing that to everybody nonstop.
I do it. I got a whole list of stores I do that to all the time.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, you can't hold back. Sorry if it's your store, bro. Sorry, not sorry, I guess.
Yeah.
Shout out Ira said, I sold a book for 200 today. That's awesome.
Nice.
Some reason my books are not being received 30 plus days from ship date, multiple shipment. Send a request, guys. Don't be scared. Don't be scared to get what you paid for, because as a seller on Amazon, you're supposed to get support, right? So chat support, phone support. If you don't know, you can have them call your phone from inside of the Seller Central app. That's probably the easiest way to get on the phone with Amazon. Let's see. What ranks are good to stay under in health, beauty, and grocery and toys, etc.? So I'll let you take this one.
All right. Okay. So this is not gonna sound what you might think you're gonna hear, but a rank is a snapshot in time. Okay. So what is more important is the velocity of that product. Now, let's say that you look at a Keepa graph and you see that a toy sells one time per month. Well, that might be ranked like 750,000 right now, or maybe it's ranked at 1.2 million. But I can make like, let's say I can make $75 on that toy. Well, you better believe I'm going to buy like one or two. And maybe I'm going to drop that price a little bit and try to get that velocity to go up. And I'm going to do the same thing in health, beauty, groceries. What's important is the velocity and whether or not you're going deep or wide. So I would suggest you go wide rather than deep. So go a mile wide, go 1 inch deep on products, and just look for items that are selling regularly rather than worrying that I've got to stay under 500,000. I've got to stay under 250,000.
Right. So that's honestly the same answer that I would give, except I would take it to the next level and just be like, hey guys, sales rank charts are bullshit. And I don't mean like Keepa charts. I mean those little guides that say, 10% of this category is this, and this is the good range. Like, it's all bullshit. And trust me, because I make those damn charts every month and send them to you every month because you guys want them, right? And for new sellers especially, they're somewhat useful, especially now that if you don't have Keepa. But man, do you got to be over conservative on that? Like when I make my charts, I put, I don't put 10%, 5%, 1%. I put 5%, 2.5%, 1%, 0.25%. Like it's much sharper. But the reality of it is it's all bullshit because sales rank is not static. One sale can move an item dramatically. And let's say you're not going to buy it on Monday, it sells overnight, but Tuesday you would buy it. It's the same item as you scanned on Monday. Nothing changed between Monday and Tuesday, literally nothing except for the sales rank. The demand is the same. The supply is the same. Everything's the same. Sales rank changed, but you're not buying it because that number changed. So that just proves that number is completely bullshit. And you need to understand, count the spikes on the Keepa graph. That's the best that you can do. There's nothing better than that except for having actual experience in a category and knowing, hey, well, I had something that was 50 in this category and we sold this many a day. That's the best that you're going to get. But other than that, counting the spikes on the sales rank chart, understanding that, one spike could represent one sale or it could represent many sales, because you got to understand like how the rank works. The rank gets worse. The rank sells, it gets better. All the chart like websites like Keepa are doing is measuring the rank at different points in time and assuming that if it went from A to B and it didn't get worse, it must have sold between A and B, so they dropped the rank. You know what I mean? And that creates the graph, and you got to know how to read that shit.
Exactly. And for those of you who maybe really know, I'll really blow your mind. The sales rank on an item can get worse even though it's selling really, really well. So just because the sales rank is going up does not necessarily mean that it's not selling. It just means that maybe it's selling slower. There's a lot of
it's going to be,
nuances.
especially with items that sell really fast.
Mm-hmm.
So when items are high beta, meaning they don't sell at all, one sale will always drop the rank significantly. It's going to move it. But for items like the scenario that Chris just said, those are only with like really, really popular items. And also, here's another thing a lot of people don't know. Sometimes the sales rank just goes haywire on Amazon. So you'll find an item where the sales rank, it has no sales rank, or the graph is completely sideways. But if you're smart, you'll know it has 800 4-star reviews. How the hell does it have 800 4-star reviews, but there's no sales rank? Or that's a gold mine when you find products like that, because other people aren't finding them, right? And this is important why I think a lot of people that get into tactical arbitrage, they make their searches too tight. So the like gold mine is like literally right on the other side of your parameters, 1% out, you know what I mean? So you need to make it more loose on all fronts so you can kind of like look at the picture, from a bigger viewpoint.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Brian Campbell says this, every category needs an E score, and that is so true. So I think I would like to just for one moment, like take some pride for all booksellers across the whole Amazon seller network, because booksellers invented E score or sales count, right? So I don't even know if you're familiar, but you know how Scoutly now has sales count, and it's basically the amount of times that something has sold in the last 90 days.
Okay.
Right. So it can be as high as like 180. If it sells every day it's sold, it would be 180, right? Out
Okay.
of the last 90 days. So it's basically, it's a number that equates to the amount of peaks in the Keepa graph during that time period. You know what I
Nice. I
mean?
like that. I like it.
And Caleb Roth, the book flipper, Scout IQ, he pioneered that in Scout IQ. So his whole thing was, I'm tired of looking at sales rank charts to count peaks. Why don't we just measure the drops and put that as a number?
Nice.
Right. And so then he did that. Then Scoutly copied it, but it doesn't really, it's only for books on for the most part, and hasn't really fully came out, but is literally the biggest advancement. I mean, I don't know how long you've been selling for, but you know, we didn't used to have the FBA price on the screen, or we didn't have buy box price, or we didn't have average rank, or you know what I mean? And
I mean, I
now
was
to be
selling when all you had was the Amazon app. That was it.
right. Yeah. Now it's like, you know, especially with e-score or sales count, whatever you want to call it, to be able to program triggers with that in mind too, you know, to be like, you're basically able to program that. There was always this point where you're like, I don't know, check the sales rank graph. You don't have to check it anymore, because
Oh,
you can
that's
just
cool.
look and you're unsure and you're like, oh, that number is 100. Depending on what category you're in, you know, if it's a book and that number is 100, you're like, yippee. You know what I mean? So
Interesting. See, I've
yeah.
been I've been playing around with the idea of hiring someone to go and like buy books for me, and that would make it a heck of a lot easier to do. Uh, with
Yeah,
that, I just hey,
definitely,
pick this
because
number.
it's basically, you know, putting a number value that you can make a trigger to for, you know, how many times. And again, it doesn't mean it's only sold that amount. It means that, and it's not an amount of sales, it's amount of days with at least one sale
Interesting.
in a row. Or during that period, not in a row, I guess, but in that period. Yeah. So if it's 180, it's maxed out, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
If it's 6, you know, it's sold 6 units at least in the last. And when it's a low number like that, you're probably pretty sure it's actually that amount, you know?
Right. Yeah, that's cool. I'm gonna have to. I think I have it. I think I have Scout IQ or Scout. I have one of them. I'll have to check that out because that may push me a little bit more into hiring someone to go and start selling books again.
Yeah, definitely. Also, guys, I forgot to mention it, but Chris is giving out, we almost totally blew it, bro.
Oh yeah.
Chris is giving everyone that's watching this a free gift. So why don't you go ahead and let them know? Let them know what they've won, Chris.
Absolutely. So, if you guys don't know, I do make software. I make extensions and things like that. So I have one that is my second extension I ever built. It's called Rev ROI. So if you're doing online arbitrage, one of the ways to make money is to engineer your profit with discount gift cards, cashback. I haven't paid for a flight in like 4 years. Using credit cards. So you can go grab Rev ROI. It's just a little extension. If you're on Walmart or Target or any of these other sites, you click on it. It'll tell you where to get the best cash back, and it'll tell you where to get the highest discount on gift cards. And then if you're also doing some travel hacking, it'll tell you what credit cards have the best points and through their portals for that site and all kinds of stuff. So you can go grab
Nice.
that
And
absolutely free.
dude, thank you so much, guys. So make sure you grab that. The link is in the description. I also put it in the chat, but that's like a nugget in itself, because I guarantee a lot of you that are listening and we're thinking about online arbitrage, you don't know this and you're not doing it. But before, like right soon you find a great deal, you're okay, we're gonna buy it. Like, let's see what we can do. You know what I mean? Let's try and save some cash back. Let's cashback portal, gift cards, promo codes, whatever. And even to the point of understanding, because it could be really deep. It could be, this is the way you do your tactical arbitrage or your online arbitrage searches. You have an email set up to get store alerts from different stores. So you get an email from whatever ABCD store and it's 20% off. Then you go to their website, you click on Rev ROI, and you're like, boom, 7% cash back. boom, gift cards for 7% as well. So now you put that all together, and now you're looking at like 34% off with the cash back and the gift cards and everything. So now you go back to Tactical Arbitrage and you start a search on that store with a 34% thing discount applied. And the great thing about that is a lot of time it's hard for the software to parse the discounts on the page, especially the store is already aggregated into Tactical Arbitrage, which means you could search it really quickly, but it's aggregated from the last time someone searched it, which is like yesterday's price. Now it's on clearance. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The software can't always grab the screen perfectly, or the last time it grabbed it, it wasn't there. So by getting that email, you're getting in front of everyone, and now you're getting a 34% off. And having to go to what is it, Be Frugal or Ebates, or there's a website that aggregates everything for everything. So having a tool that can do it all for you and save you some time is super duper important.
Yep, absolutely.
So thank you. Let Chris know you appreciate him. Also in the description is a link to Chris's blog, cleartheshelf.com. Make sure you check that out. We got a question from John over all the way across the pond in Manchester. He wants to know if that works in the UK.
Unfortunately, no. There does not seem to be that many gift card sites and cashback over the UK, so I've never built it in. But if you know some, shoot them my way, and I'll make sure to have my developer do that.
Wow. It's okay. He's used to it. He's from the UK, so he's used to getting the short end of the stick. He thought he would ask, though.
Yeah,
we went to bat for you, John. Sorry. So does Rev ROI have functionality with TA or no?
So yes. So what happened is Alex actually came to me and said, "Hey, Chris, I wanna buy the Rev ROI data," and he bought it, and he actually brought it into Tactical Arbitrage. So like you don't have to have Rev ROI. If you're using Tactical Arbitrage, all that data is there for you and ready to go. But if you're not using Tactical Arbitrage, or you just like to have, I know some people just like to have it because it's all right on the screen.
Yeah, I mean, you never beat good old fashioned rabbit trail searching. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely,
there is stuff you can find manually that you'll never find using Tactical Arbitrage, just because it takes eyes looking on a screen, and you know what I mean. So having that extension, another one that I like to use is Clear Platinum by Jordan Malik. I don't even know if he still makes content anymore. Shout out the honest online seller. He's like one of the OGs. Me and him never really talked, but his extension, Clear Platinum, it's the simplest thing ever. It just adds all these buttons on your products on Amazon, and it's one-click link to open it up on eBay, one-click link to open it up on half.com or whatever other websites, just to save you time. It's basically a context search menu. If you know what context search menu is, there's a Chrome plugin context search menu. You can create anything you want where you can just highlight text, right click, search it on eBay, completed or whatever. And I used to do that before, but then Clear Platinum is just like that on steroids, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
But all these little things that can save you money, you're like going to check out, and then honey.com comes on, and it's like, oh, we found a deal for you. And you're like, exactly. Really? It's like 25% off. You're like, holy crap. Like, we got to buy more now.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So let's give out a couple more tips before we sign off here. What do you think is what are some of the biggest problems that people have when they just get started on Tactical Arbitrage? The questions that you hear like again and again.
Yeah. The one I hear the most is I can't find anything. And one is I think people their filters are just way too tight. And so there's people like you and me who I like to think we keep it real. We tell the truth. Amazon is not a way that you're going to make $1 million by Christmas and then retire. Right. It's a real business that takes work. And a lot of people come in and they're like, oh, well, I'm going to hit a home run on every single product, and I'm going to make $100 profit, and I'm not going to take anything else. So one, you need to manage your expectations. Two, you need to realize that base hits win the game, not home runs. And then you need
Those
to
are the bonuses.
Exactly. You need to be willing to put in the time and the effort to learn tactical arbitrage, Keepa, and all these little nuances that go into selling on Amazon, and realize that it's a business for the long term. It's not something that is going to make you rich overnight.
Yeah, very, very important. And let's touch on that long term. How long have you been in the Amazon game?
Well, the first thing I ever sold was in, uh, it was a vintage Playboy magazine, and I sold it in 2011.
Okay. So, how long have you been full time on Amazon?
Since January 1st, 2015.
Okay, cool. So, in that's not a ton of time, 4 years, over 4 years. But in that time period, I'm guessing you've seen people that come and go, that
Oh, yeah.
are became, maybe they went from discovering Amazon to being full-time Amazon sellers to maybe crushing it, maybe doing over 100,000 in their first year. We love Amazon. We love Amazon. And a year and a half later, they're not doing Amazon anymore. They're back to the 9 to 5. And there's nothing against these people. I want to touch on this to illustrate that there's an ebb and flow to it. I like to say it's not hard, but it's hard work, right?
Exactly.
So it just works. If you do it, it will work. And that's the beauty of it, because so much business it's not like that. If we wanted to open a brick and mortar somewhere, there's so many unknowns.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, we have all these tools and all this software. So it's not it's not it's not easy, but it's easier than digging a hole in the ground, and it will make you more money. And can you feed your family doing it in, a year or less of hard work, and maybe quit your job? I think so.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think you're going to be putting $1 million in the bank, but I believe you can make more than you're currently making and work less and be much happier, for sure. And then
Exactly.
maybe the money you make doing Amazon plus the free time that you have from working less is how you're going to launch that salon that you wanted to open, or whatever it is. Even if it's just like you just want to make a little bit more but work a lot less, and then take one worldly trip a year. Whatever it is that makes you happy, or I don't know, you want to become a race car driver and go to NASCAR school, whatever it is, like, Amazon can make that a reality for you.
Exactly.
So it will make some people millionaires, maybe some 3P billionaires. I don't know if there's any 3P billionaires. Do you know? I don't know.
Uh, in gross sales, yeah, but I don't think take
Yeah,
home in
yeah.
the bank.
Gross. We don't need to talk gross sales, but yeah. But it is producing plenty of $1 million gross sellers, and plenty. Also, I wouldn't say plenty, but lots of $1 million in the bank a year Amazon sellers.
Oh, yeah.
But it's the people that really put their nose to the grinder. It's the people that really work. It's the people that have like 5 accounts, and they got everything working like clockwork. So that's what everyone wants to sell you, the dream of like Ferrari, or go to the fucking Bahamas, 3 trips a year, go to Fiji, and like, no, you know what I mean? Like, you could live a really good lifestyle, or you could live a frugal lifestyle and do an amazing stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like to look at Amazon as like it's the gateway to opportunity.
Hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? Some people just want to work a lot and make money, and that's cool. You can do that too, but other people would be happy making less and maybe spending more time with their family or
Exactly.
whatever. And I
Exactly.
think that's what I like to show people is like, look, yes, financial realities are happening, but more importantly, maybe, for example, me even being able to do YouTube and be like, people telling me they appreciate me, and me being like, well, that's my purpose. You know what I mean? Like, my purpose can't be for me to make $100,000 in sales a year, but for the people, the 100 or the 1,000 people that did that off of my knowledge and changed their life, maybe that's my purpose. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That I would never have been able to, and how that changed me in my life. And I never would have been able to do that if it wasn't for Amazon. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's an awesome lifestyle business. Like, it's it's one of the best jumping off points because of the ease and uh, and the community. The community is giving and they want other people to succeed for the most part. There are some
Right, for
people
the
who are
most
not
part.
like that, but for the most part, you know, there are people who
Yeah.
want you to succeed.
Yeah, I wouldn't ever say that Amazon is passive at all in any form, but you get what you put in, right? And you have the ability to delay your work or whatever your output. So you can leave. You could do nothing for 30 days and still make a lot of money, but you're not going to make a lot the next 30 days if you don't get your ass back to work. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Or you're definitely going to make a lot less. You'll actually probably still make money the next 30 days, just a lot less depending on your business model. So I really do see it as liberating because how many people in the United States have a 9 to 5 job and get literally, what do you get? 1 week of paid vacation a year? Is that the standard? Maybe
I
two if you work
maybe
for a good
two.
company.
Yeah.
And like you don't even really get 2 weeks of paid vacation because you have to use some of it for unplanned things. 2 days
Hmm.
here, 3 days there, grandma broke her hip, whatever. So then what? You get to go somewhere for 5 days. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
fuck
No
that.
thanks.
Yeah, you need to be in charge. You only get a certain amount of years of your life, and if you have children, you only get a certain amount of time with them before, they can say, see you later, dad. You know what I
You only
mean?
get
So
18 summers. I read a really great book. And you're a homeschool dad, and I'm here with my son all the time. He does go to a private school, but you
what's
only
the
get
title?
18. What's that?
You said you read a good book.
Oh, it's called, oh shoot. Um, the Family Boardroom, I believe is what it's called. Or the Family Board Meeting. And it's all about setting aside, time for your kids and because you only get 18 summers with them, and then they can tell you to go jump off a cliff if they want to, you
Right.
know.
Well, my daughter is 19. She still lives with me technically, but she spends more nights at her boyfriend's house than she does at home. And so I thought I would cry when she moved out, but it's kind of happening slowly over
Mm.
time. Like literally, I'm like, your bedroom, you're moving into the guest room, and she didn't even try to press me.
Oh
I'm
wow.
like, I'm putting your room into the guest room. Your room's becoming my YouTube studio. Okay, dad. You know what I mean? And so, but when she comes home, I'm like, hey, you're here. Oh, you're gonna eat with us. Like, even if she just comes home in the middle of the day to like raid our fridge, I'm
Right.
stoked to see her. You know what I mean? So it's like I've already got my kids are 12 years apart, Chris. So I have a 7-year-old and a 19-year-old.
Oh
So it's
wow.
like the 7-year-old is like my try too. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
I know I'm like, wait, okay, gotta cherish every moment. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
people like have criticized me before. I met my uncle, kind of negative dude. He was like, "You're gonna go watch your kids play softball, like whatever." He was visiting me in a super negative attitude, but I genuinely am excited to watch whatever my kids are doing, sports, and I'm not a sports guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
But you couldn't pay me $1,000 to miss my kid's sporting game.
I
And a lot of people are like, you're an idiot, Reezy. You're not a hustler. And I'm like, yo, I am a hustler, but it's different. Once you get a little bit of money or whatever your equilibrium is for you and where you live, then you start to realize your time. You know what I
exactly.
mean? And it's like, do I need to charge $300 an hour for a consultation? No, I could charge less. I would be happy to take much less, but I don't want to do a bunch of them. You know what I mean? So that's the price it is because I only want to do as many as the people that are willing to pay that much and they actually care and they're about it. And it's like, you know what I mean? It's just
Absolutely.
you have to put a price on your time at some point, and then that hour with your kid at the park is worth $300, $1,000. What you know what I mean? It's stupid
Exactly.
to even think about it as money because with the whole 18 summers thing, you know what I mean? It's priceless.
Exactly.
You can't buy that back on eBay,
Yeah.
Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah. It's People need to get their priorities straight.
John right here says, thanks to Amazon, I can spend time with my family more when I want. Like last weekend, I just randomly went to my dad's, visited my brother, and then helped in his dance class. And so John's a bookseller. He sells other stuff from the UK. But John is also, I think he's a bachelor, and John rolls around with a suitcase. So he'll take the train around Europe or UK going to different places, and he'll take his suitcase with him. He'll scour the thrift stores or the charity shops or car boot sales, as they say in the UK, and
Yep.
then he'll lug back his full suitcase, or even maybe he'll probably create a shipment from whoever's house he's at, as long as they got a printer and a bathroom scale.
Oh, wow.
You can make a shipment. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
We've been doing it a long time, so we don't really think about it like that. But there is a great, mobile app. Go anywhere. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
had another UK friend, Luke, said he went to Ireland to visit some family. Got there on a chance trip to a store. Started scanning some books. The books are in English. You know what I mean? Turns out maybe no one in Ireland scanning because it was a really good trip. Had to get an extra luggage. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you're not a reseller if you haven't got an extra luggage on your trip and packed it full of stuff to sell. Like there's just so much opportunity. When I was in France last year, went to Disneyland Paris. I wasn't even trying to hustle, but I'm in the gift shop and they got these Paris Mickey Mouse ears, with Chip and Dale, and then ones that like say Paris Disneyland 50th anniversary or whatever. And they were like 25 euros, but they were on sale for like 8 euros because they just had way too many of them in Paris Disneyland. And I filled up a whole entire suitcase with them.
Oh,
and you
that's
can
awesome.
see on my eBay store to this day, they're not selling fast. I sell like 1 or 2 a month, but I'm selling them for $65. And I got them for 8 euros, which is basically like $9 American.
Okay.
But you know what I mean? It's just these opportunities are everywhere. And I feel like we have a disease. People like us have a disease because you talk to people and like instantly I'm like, well, how much money could you make off that? And I'm like, well, where's the profit? I'm like, what was the buy cost? And like, people are like, we're just talking. Can we not talk business? I'm like,
yeah.
It's all I do. I just recognize profit opportunities.
Wherever we go, I come home with like, 25 Starbucks mugs. We went to the Bahamas and a couple other places last summer, and I just all kinds of
that
stuff.
You Are Here series.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
The You Are money from all those places.
Another little pro tip: the You Are Here series Starbucks mugs go hard, but they're very played out. So when you find the ones that are in areas that not everyone can go to easily, those ones are worth more money, especially if you get them to FBA. So I'll give you guys some tips. Disneyland and Disney California Adventure and Disney World, they all got Starbucks with You Are Here, and it's just for those parks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hawaii, any Starbucks anywhere in Hawaii. I would imagine Alaska for the same reason, especially because there's no ground shipping from either of those places to FBA. So it has to go airmail, which is expensive. And I'm sure there's more that I don't even know of. There's got to be anywhere where there's a Starbucks, you know what I mean? And that's that's like so bottom of the barrel, but it's profitable still.
Exactly.
It like amazes me. I'll be on a random trip somewhere and I'll pull into a Starbucks, scan it, and I'm like, where am I at in Montana or Arizona somewhere? And these cups are worth money. It make
Yeah, it's insane.
It's just way too insane. Let's see. It says Illinois Picker says I can't go in a store without scouting for profit. Fact. And that's so true. It reminds me of the many times I've been sent to the grocery store to pick up 1 or 2 items for my wife, came back with several cartfuls of everything but the 2 items I was supposed to get.
Yep.
They don't like that when you do that.
Nope, especially when they're pregnant.
Oh my God. Get back to the store right now.
That's right.
Hey, dude, we've had a good time. It's almost 2 hours of your time, and I don't want to run you up anymore. Is there anything you want to say to the viewers before we let them go?
Just keep your head down. One of the things I've been running into a lot lately is people just wanting to throw in the towel, and just push past that, and this becomes worth it. Especially if those of you who are new, this is your first Q4. Soak it up, learn everything you can, and then make next Q4 your most profitable Q4. It's a fun business. There's a lot of fun and weird and cool people in this business, and just enjoy the ride. It's worth it.
Also, if you're just getting started and it's Q4, be prepared for some depression period afterwards. And so
Absolutely.
With booksellers, I call it PTSD, which is post textbook season depression. So when textbook season goes up, you're selling so much and then it goes down, and you're actually selling as much as you were before the season started, but you kind of don't remember it. You only remember the high. And so you get depressed because you're not selling as well. So a lot of you guys, you're just getting started. You might, if you don't realize this, you might be really bummed out come the end of January, February, and March when sales in a lot of the categories that are going to pop really hard are down in the worst in the tank. So just be aware of it, that's the actual normal, and this is above normal. This is the wave that we're riding. The sea tide is actually down here, so don't be depressed when the wave is not there anymore.
Right.
Yeah. Also, obviously, guys, check out Tactical Arbitrage. There's a completely free trial link down below. That is my affiliate link. If you use that, I appreciate that. Check out Chris's website, which is cleartheshelf.com. Looks like he's got a good blog on there where you can read some articles and learn about some other stuff. Make sure you guys check out the new pins. I dropped some limited edition enamel pins. There's a link down below. There's 100 each. If you happen to get pin number 1 of any of the 4 pins that I released, you're going to get a free 1-hour consultation with me and a hat from my merch line. So check that out. There's currently a deal if you get all 4 of 45, so you get 1 for free because they're $15 a piece. But get it while supplies last. I'm proud of them. They're pretty tight. I'll keep them all for myself if you guys don't buy them. So with that being said, thank you, Chris, for your time. Appreciate you. Where can people catch you at mostly? I know you're not really on YouTube very much. Facebook?
Actually, I'm on YouTube every week.
Oh, damn. I'm slipping.
Every single week.
What is your YouTube?
It's just Christopher Grant.
Okay, Christopher Grant. I'll make sure to get that down in the description. If you're watching this and that is not in the description, I'm slipping, and let me know in the comments because I'll get that down there. Go check out Chris's YouTube. Subscribe. Do you have a Facebook group?
I help run FBA Today and the Tactical Arbitrage group. So you'll see me in those 2 groups most often.
Awesome. And you like on the daily Facebook, yeah?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's an addiction. Yeah.
Yep, it's an addiction. And also, guys, if you don't use Facebook, I know a lot of you guys are younger and you're not into Facebook. I know Facebook is definitely lame, but the Facebook groups, the groups on Facebook is the most valuable thing anywhere. It's basically like forums on crack, and it's just better. It's like forums in the old ways. It's pretty much the same thing, but it's just more helpful and people are more nice, and if you're not utilizing groups on Facebook, that tip alone will change your life. Find whatever you want to know about, find the people in the world that are really interested in it, and there is multiple groups, and you'll learn a lot, I'm sure, as be welcomed into a community of people. It seems to be that's what the vibes is, just welcome people in, don't be a dickhead.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's only like one group where it's basically like, no, we're going to be assholes. That's how we do it in this group.
Yeah.
We don't need to talk about that group.
Nope.
Good, because I didn't even remember it existed till right now. So, yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in. If you missed this show, tune in Monday nights, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where I interview guests like Christopher Grant, and you can get your questions answered, or I do a live AMA call-in show. If you prefer listening, check us out on the podcast, the Reezy Resells Show. Episodes air every Monday morning at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you somehow listen to 2 hours of this and you don't know what we're talking about, go to reezyresells.com and grab my free intro to Amazon course. That will get you in the game. And until next week, guys, remember, if you ain't flipping,
you slipping.
You slipping. Peace out, guys. Thanks for joining us.